Hello and welcome to me trying to have less anxiety 2K23. But yes, I am. I've said this multiple times, so you all shouldn't be surprised, but I am very behind on answering you all's comments. Answering your comments is something I take pride on in terms of helping build the community, answering questions that are genuine or just responding to comments that are genuine. And then, maybe trolling some of the folks who troll in the back. So here we are for the first and potentially last edition of answering you all's comments versus just typing them up, because that might take too long. So we'll go through a couple of video comments. We'll kind of give some thoughts on what I would normally say in terms of response, and then just kind of a reaction video. Let me know what y'all think, and if we want to keep doing this, we can, because sometimes just typing out each answer gets to be a lot. And then it's like right now where I'm a month behind on comments. So let's just do this thing. All right, first up, we're going to tackle the Bungie drop the ball video. If you've not watched a video, as I'm going to say with every video, just go watch it for full context, because I really don't acknowledge people who don't watch the full video, but because you're just commenting without actual full context. But the TLDR is that I was talking about some of the core points that I was concerned about in the lead up to Lightfall, again, pre the Lightfall launch, where Bungie had talked a lot about, Strand and these other aspects of the game, but they really didn't talk deeply about the social quality of life. So let's get into the comments. One viewer said, just wait until it comes out to find out. LOL. It's more exciting to find out that way, in my opinion. I guess so. Yeah. Ultimately, whether folks really looked into the social quality of life aspects before Lightfall or not, as consumers, as guardians, everyone kind of lands in a different way. But yeah, ultimately, getting to see the thing in game, there's a fine line to tote between complaining about something that ultimately you just won't know what it's like till it's in game, kind of the difficulty changes, and then actually being in a space where it's just I have concerns. And for me, I feel like this was more concerns, but ultimately, they're not wrong. Go ahead and wait till something's in game and check it out. Another view said, this is such a dumb take, LOL. Why are you deeply disappointed and deeply bothered? Just wait for it to come out, ? You need every new system explained in detail before it launches. Well, yeah. Obviously, you owned me. You didn't. But obviously, folks approach this in various different ways. But for me, I am deeply disappointed because, as I said in the video, if you actually watched it, bucko, was the fact that it's an accessibility thing, right? So if we want to talk about all these details about weapon tuning, about how Strand's going to look, about, teasers for the Witness, then yeah, I think it's fair to say that the social quality of life updates, which includes commendations, which includes guardian ranks, which includes the user interface experience, all those different things, which again, we're week 5 into the season now, and we've seen there's been major issues, right? And so yes, it actually kind of proves my point that if they had talked about it more, and there's a better, but also a more extended feedback loop for the community to add their feedback, then yeah, I think we could have avoided, if not mitigated, some of these issues. So great job attempting to own me. But yeah, anyways. Another commented, they talked about both of these a little bit. It'll be fairly intuitive by the looks of it. Probably why they didn't need to say more. Every accommodation thing I've seen doesn't let you give them to friends or clanmates, so that'll most likely not be an issue. So yes, so I admitted this actually in a video later. I can't remember which video, but again, I always like to cover my bases. When I'm right, I'm right. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But yes, part of it, and I think I said 60% of it actually was pretty intuitive, but ultimately a lot of the critique and pain points that the community has pointed out over the past month have been to these other things that this person is commenting about. Clanmates, again, people not, just giving out commendations to only their friends, and guardian ranks, some of the earlier guardian ranks being way too easy, and then some of the later guardian ranks being way too hard. So there's just a lot of balance things. And so I think commendations, especially since this is the 3rd time commendations has been nerfed in a month, I think it says a lot about the system in of itself. But again, yeah, to this person's point that, yeah, they did talk about it, and I believe I did say that in this video, but ultimately, ultimately, I think they could have set more. They being Bungie, I think they could have set more in this. Last comment I'll read. Another commenter says, "This dude, I'm not a dude, is trying to be dark side royalty. I don't know who that is, but it's actually the dark side royalty our mom says we already have at home." Again, nice attempt at trying to own me. I don't get the reference point, so you kind of lose on that one. Nice try though. Again, I don't know Darkside Royalty. Don't know their content. Don't know if that's like a TV reference. I don't know what that is. But no, I'm not a dude as well. Just as a reminder to folks, it's on all my information. I am non-binary. But nice try. You tried to own me. E for effort. E for effort. All right, let's move on to the next video. Guardian Ranks Explained. So Guardian Ranks Explained. It was a little bit of a shorter video, but I just went on screen as I was playing the game. I think I was streaming that day, maybe not, maybe whatever. But either way, I just kind of went through the basics of what Guardian Ranks are, what they look like in terms of the user experience, and yeah, this is some of those comments. So one comment, so these are basically like triumphs, right? Essentially, yeah, I think Bungie really did want to genuinely, I genuinely believe Bungie wanted this to be an opportunity for Guardians to actually dig into the game and really like test their skill, but ultimately it just became like triumphs on top of the seasonal triumphs that a lot of folks were already going to do. So I think the intent was there, but I think the attempt at getting these into the world, I think they honestly, and I think I've said this somewhere like on Twitter or I've said it in another video, but I think they should have just waited. They already put the Fireteam Finder feature on hold, and I think they could have done the same with this, just to tweak the system a little bit. The user interface, I think, is fine. I think it's beautiful. The font is more accessible. I think we've seen a lot of people comment on that in terms of like visually. Again, not everybody notices it, but everyone doesn't have the same visual abilities. Everyone doesn't have the same motor functions, and so like the user experience is much more accessible, and I think they did that well. But I do think commendations in Guardian Ranks, yeah, just could have stayed in the vault a little bit longer, just to marinate a bit more. Another comment, as far as I'm concerned, this part of the game does not exist for me. Not wasting a second on this except for this comment. Well, thank you for the view. Appreciate you viewing. And yeah, I don't blame people. If you want to engage in Guardian Ranks, you can. I know people who are very accomplished in the game, like folks I'm actually going to be running like Guardian Ranks with, and haven't made it past rank 6. And like, if you've played the game, you start out at rank 6 just because they don't want to go through the whole kind of, rigorous process of trying to do these very specific things. Now, some of the things like solo legend, lost sector flawlessly, some folks are already going to do, but I think a lot of it is a hassle for folks because it's just not in the flow of the game. If it was better and if it was more integrated into the flow of the game, I think there'd be a lot more adoption. Is that the word? Is that the tech term? Early adopters? There'd be more adopters to the system. But thanks for viewing. Another view said, so who was... okay, that's a very hefty allegation. Thinking it was a good idea to reset the advanced ranks every season. So Bungie actually recently did come out with a Wednesday TWAB. We just kind of called the Wednesday TWAB, but recently Bungie has been giving us the regular TWABs. This is Week at Bungie on Thursdays, and then also really hefty blogs on Wednesday. And so in one of the more recent Wednesday blogs, they kind of talked about that they're adjusting this, but yeah, it just was a bad idea from the start, in my opinion, that, like having people grind all of this stuff, master lost sectors, you have to complete every raid in the game at least once, all these different things where like a lot of people, especially if you're a solo player, you're not going to do, right? So the fact is like, that they kind of adjusted those metrics, I think was good. You still have to reset to a degree, but it's definitely not as bad as it was going to be. Another person commented, so excited to get back into Destiny. Welcome in, welcome back. Started back in 2014, but real life took over. It happens, no worries, no need to get down about it. Thank you so much for this overview. I was a little lost on rank 2, but super bummed I can't really get into modding gear until rank 6. Yeah, so again, welcome back. First off, really appreciate you coming back to Destiny. It's a great community here. There's a lot of great aspects of the community here, I should say. But also like, yeah, the fact that like with the loadout system, with, some of the features you can't get until you've ranked up to rank 6. I don't think it fully takes into consideration, again, from a design standpoint. I'm not a dev. I have to say that every video. This is me as a consumer of the product offering feedback. But as a non-dev, yeah, I do think a little bit more flexibility in those types of incorporations for people who are especially getting back into the game would have been better at launch. That said, again, with the Wednesday TWAB blog, whatever you want to call it, that we just recently got, they did talk about returning players ranks 5 through 7 will be a lot more smoother for them to upgrade. And so for this Guardian, as well as others who are coming back to the game, need not worry, it will be a little bit more smooth. If you haven't been active in the game, no worries, welcome back in. The last one before we move on to another video is from another Guardian. To complete rank 6, you have to complete 2 vendor challenges. What the frick are these? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Google does not know. Make a video on this. You will get 1 million views. Please help. Nice attempt at trying to own me. Trying to, you got me, champ. You got me. Wow. Internet person says internet person things. Congratulations. All right, moving forward. The next video and the last video for today, because there's just a lot that I'm backed up on for the past month. But hopefully, if you all like this content, we will continue this and, keep putting out these videos. But the last one we'll talk about is the one about too much grind. If you're not in the know, every Thursday we put out a Scatter Thoughts video. Scatter Thoughts, if you haven't really watched it, we encourage you to watch it. But in between my longer form content, again, this is very much more community-based content that I want to be able to put out things that you all would actually find interesting. I'm really not here creating content for the algorithm. I'm just here to build community. And so I have notes that I take while I'm gaming, while I'm LFGing, all these different things. And I do every Thursday, I put out a video kind of picking one of those topics that I write down. And it's just an offering of, if you all find this interesting, let's have some conversation. If not, I put my rant into the world and whatever. You can't stop me. It's the internet, LOL. But yeah, the TLDR for this is, just feeling like with Guardian Ranks, with commendations, with the seasonal triumphs, with everything and how it's been reworked, just feeling like a lot of unnecessary grind. It doesn't feel like I'm actually moving towards something. And yeah, just feeling a little bit pressure for that. But again, I definitely highly encourage you to watch the whole video. So the comments that are not being held for review, again, they don't have something toxic in them. One Guardian says, yes, way too much grind. Short, sweet, to the point. Really appreciate you. I think there's a general grind culture to MMOs, which I said in the video. So don't sit here and act like I don't know that MMOs have a grind to them. But I think the issue will always be for me is is the grind purposeful? Is the grind actually helping me gain skill? Is it helping me connect with community? It has to be for a reason. Otherwise, there's no game, Lost Ark, Final Fantasy 14, whatever game you want to point to, Black Desert Online, there's none of those MMOs that you're gonna get people just grinding for no reason. Added benefit of those other MMOs is you're grinding for skills, you're grinding for magic points, you're grinding for all these different aspects, which we have a super and we have fragments and aspects, but it's not the same thing, right? So if you have a pointless grind, regardless of the game, it could be an FPS, it could be whatever, people eventually are going to get tired of it, in my opinion. Another Guardian says, there's a lot to unpack here. While I agree that there's clearly is a divide on the grind for loot versus grind for engagement, I would like your thoughts on what would be a good middle ground. Clearly, engagement is the metric Bungie looks for when they're creating content, even if it's artificial, in the example of Guardian Ranks. Yes. So first off, shout out to this Guardian. Sin actually supports the channel. So shout out to people who frequent the channel and support. I appreciate that. But then also, I think the middle ground for me is, and I think it's a solution that's not new. It's a solution that folks have offered. The middle ground is the tier of difficulty that we're doing in game. The loot has to be plentiful and appropriate for that level. I absolutely, again, I look forward to every season since I started grinding out the Conqueror title. I look forward to Grandmasters. So yes, as someone who loves that content, loves testing my skill, loves failing, loves figuring out how to have a better build, I should get rewarded for completing that platinum, killing all the champions and completing that, but that's few deaths as possible. All those different things. Absolutely get that. And again, there's a grind to that. On the inverse side, things that we're going to do anyways, things that every Guardian, new returning players, active Guardians, the strike playlist list, yes, I should be able to get loot from there, but the core piece being is it's like it used to only be 3 strikes. You only had to complete 3 strikes. But now, not only have they revamped most of the strikes so that they're longer, the average strike used to be like 7-8 minutes. Get in, get out, finish it, and then you'll move on to something else. If you really wanted to grind strikes, you could, but to get the pinnacle, you only had to do 3. Now you have to do at least 5 with the surge, whether it's strand surge, stasis surge, arc, whatever. And then on top of that, each of the, the Mars battleground, the hypernet strike, all of these strikes are so much, they're about double the time. You're taking 16, 17, 18, upwards of 20 minutes. Again, these being match made, again, even more than 20 minutes if you're match made with a group of folks who really don't know the strike that well or don't have the right loadout for the strike. So for me, the middle ground is one, I wish those would just be nerfed, and so they're shorter and they're a lot more accessible when they're lower tier content. But the grind for things that we're actually trying to do in game, like in game in particular, raids, Grandmaster Nightfalls, trials, all those things, there should be a very clear scaling that we do, that if you want the higher tier loot, yes, I'm saying like you should grind more for the higher tier loot, and there should be more steps you have to take because it's higher tier loot. But also from like the everyday things, I shouldn't be like sweating trying to get through Mars battleground because it has so many, and like, again, enemy density is nice and I like it, but ultimately like I have to do 5 of these instead of 3. And also each of them takes on average 15, 16 minutes versus I used to be able to knock these out in 5 to 8 minutes before. So it's just a drain on my time. And whenever you're draining my time, I know this is a long answer, but it's, I feel like that's a disrespect to my time and a lot of other Guardians' time. So ultimately, Bungie wants playtime hours as one of the metrics. We've known this for years. Destiny has been, as a game, has been out for almost a decade, D1 and D2, and we've known that like player time is part of what their metrics. So yes, the longer we're in game grinding things, the better it looks for Bungie. But I would hope that the respect for our time would be added back in there, just a little bit more, for us to have the right amount of rewards for the grind that we're putting in, and not just grinding because like, oh, I want you to do 50 lost sectors for this triumph. And yes, that's a real triumph. So yeah. All right. That's where we're going to stop for today. Appreciate everyone who's made it thus far in the video. It's a little bit different style of content, but yeah, just really trying to be out here and, eliminate my anxiety over not answering folks, because I really do feel bad when I don't answer folks who are actually genuinely asking questions and things like this. Again, there's a lot more videos that we can go through, but these are just the ones we have time for today. And if you like me to do this iteration of responding to your comments again, let me know. We can. It's actually much easier on me in terms of, sometimes having to write out each thought, it takes a little bit more time, but I like this kind of format. It seems a little bit more fun. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all Starside as we continue to game, learn, and grow. See y'all next time. Peace.